right now on the couch is someone who I never miss a beat to say hello to and to encourage, because I don't think this person sleeps. They're up 24/7, always doing great things for our community. I'm talking about Donna Panapinto. She is the president and CEO of the United Way of Pierce County, and we're here to talk about tackling poverty at its roots. And we're going to get an update on Alice, which is one of my favorite conversations to have. You as in the United Way, have been focusing on addressing the needs of Alice families in our community since 2016. I mean, that's almost 10 years, but it happened way before that in terms of awareness. Remind our viewers, who is Alice and how Alice is doing in Pierce County?
Good to see you.
You too, my friend.
Well, Alice is asset limited, income constrained, employed. And so those are those individuals that are getting up every day, working really hard, and still struggling to make ends meet. And in terms of just Alice here in Pierce County, right now, there's about 117,000 households that are Alice based on the 22 census. And that's 34% of the population that's still struggling. Many of them working more than one job. They may be working several jobs.
Right.
According to the data, for a family of four, the survival household budget is just under $100,000 a year. So if you think about Alice households, and most of them are at they're above 100% of poverty, federal poverty level, which is for a family of four is about $31,000 a year.
Still.
And then below 200% of poverty, which is about $65,000 a year. So, you can see that there's so many things that are happening with Alice families. And, we think about the pandemic and how Alice families, did they weather the pandemic? They had additional supports,
right.
But once those supports ended, Alice families are struggling even more than they were before the pandemic.
Yes.
The cost of basic needs, dealing with inflation and the costs, the housing costs, food insecurity is sky high.
It is.
And all of our agencies that are providing those services are feeling it.
Yeah, they absolutely are. You have a goal of lifting 15,000 family members out of poverty by 2028 and to move them to self-sufficiency. What's next after you meet that goal? Because I have every faith in the United Way that they will make it.
Well, you know what? Yes, we'll meet the 15,000, but let's stop and think about it, right? That's 15,000 out of 117,000.
Wow.
So there's always going to be another 15,000. And right now we're at, with the investments that United Way makes in the community, at 9,800 families out of the 15 moving from a place of crisis to self-sufficiency. Right. But, again, there will be another 15,000. And so United Way is really spending a lot of time in working with our partners to educate and to advocate on behalf of families, looking at policies and systems and structures. How can we improve those policies to actually help benefit more families and prevent them from always teetering and being on that edge.
Right. So speaking of that, that's a great segue. Thank you. You are the perfect guest. Into Grit 2.0. Let's talk about that.
Yes. Okay. So there's Grit 2.0
and
there's Grit 1.0.
Exactly.
That we just finished that up in terms of the report. And that was a year-long effort from December of 2021 to December of 2022, where we had 110 families receiving $500 a month. And those results are, it's what we expected.
Right.
Financial resilience. People were able to save money. They were able to get better housing, better jobs. Food insecurity was one of the things where both the recipients and the control group struggled with, but the recipients not as much.
Okay.
So food insecurity is still an issue. The housing issue and finding some stability there. With 2.0, we've got 175 individuals that are receiving $500 a month for 12 months as a result of receiving some funds through the state a couple of years ago in a proviso, $1.9 million in a proviso. And of that, probably 5 of that is going directly to individuals. You know, we're doing a lot of research and gathering data. And what we're finding in 2.0 are really some of the same things. Individuals going from part-time employment to full-time employment, you know, being able to move and find more stable housing.
Yes.
You know, and food insecurity actually has gone down. They're actually able to tackle that. So, you know, lots of good things are happening, and you wonder at some point when can you stop having to prove that this works?
Right.
Right.
As you said, change the narrative.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, we know that, and what we've seen is that this improves well-being. It improves, just gives people a chance to breathe.
Absolutely.
And, you know, we're hoping that we'll be able to see a GRIT 3.0.
Yes, that is going to happen. So when we talk about people getting involved, and I want to talk about businesses and employers in this last 2 minutes, supporting ALICE households, how can the United Way of Pierce County work with them to create more financial stability? Because the person you see in front of you also has 2 other employers they're also trying to satisfy. So what's the answer to that?
So, you know, I mean, part of me wants to say, let's put it back on the employers.
Right.
You know, how can you as an employer help your employees, especially the ones that are ALICE employees, how can you support them? You know, if they have childcare issues, you know, if they have transportation issues, you know, those are the things that I think about. As far as United Way, I think what we can do is provide the information on the resources that are out there.
Yes.
You know, the Facebook page for GRIT, for instance, has a lot of information about resources for families. So I think that's a start, but businesses, I think, stepping back and saying, how can we help our populations that are ALICE, you know, and support them?
Absolutely. Let's talk about one of the programs that has been so successful, and that's the matching. For many of these ALICE families, matching was a new concept. How did it go over?
So this is what's really great. We're in partnership with the United Ways of the Pacific Northwest through some resources that we've received, have been able to set aside dollars for what's called individual development accounts.
Okay.
And it's a match savings program where individuals can save up to $10,000 and get that money matched to go towards purchasing a home, to going back to school, and business. For business. And so it's going great. We have several people that have already met the $10,000 savings and are going to get that matched. But it's another way for ALICE families, for Center for Strong Families, those families to be able to move from a place of just, you know, making it to being self-sufficient and thriving.
I mean, the concept of saving when you're having a hard time putting food on the table is something that no one can prepare themselves for. Thank you for being here and for stopping in and checking in. And I want you back sooner than later as we get into the springtime and we talk about more fundraising.
Definitely. I'll be back.
We have much more to come on Cityline. Don't go away. We'll be right back after this quick break.